So you're trying to drop weight while juggling a busy and demanding career. And it seems like everything you've tried, you either lose weight and gain it back, or you just feel stuck. In this video, I'm going to break down the reasons why a lot of high achieving professionals have such a hard time losing weight and keeping that weight off, and what steps you need to change, and so that you can actually get the results and keep them long term. The first shift is you have to go from the diet mindset to a nutrition mindset. You hear about these diets like the keto diet, the fasting diet, the Atkins diet, the carnivore diet, the vegan diet. And these, it's not to say that they don't work. It's a reason they're mainstream. But what I found after coaching over 16 years, most people just can't sustain it. Like when you consider something like the vegan diet, if you're doing it for, let's say, religious reasons or for certain health conditions, I get it. But in terms of fat loss, weight loss, it's not needed because all you're doing is just cutting out an entire food group, protein, which is essential. We're going to talk more about that in just a second, but just cutting out an entire food group, anybody can lose weight doing that. Same thing with the keto diet. Super high fats, very minimal protein, and we're cutting out carbs. And so you're basically dieting by means of depriving yourself of an essential food group. That's not the best approach for long-term success. But when you shift into having the nutrition mindset, you start to become aware of like, okay, well, I need to have all these essential nutrients. I need to have protein in my nutrition on a daily basis. I need to have healthy fats on a daily basis if you want to have energy, not just physically, but also mentally. You want to balance out your hormones. These things are critical to have healthy fats in your diet, like avocados and walnuts and things like that. Even carbs. You'll hear trainers say things like, hey, just stop eating carbs, but not realizing fruits are carbs, vegetables are carbs, and even, sweet potatoes and brown rice and quinoa and jasmine rice. These types of carbs have just more calories than the fibrous carbs like the fruits and the vegetables, but they're still needed. You just got to eat them strategically. And then we'll talk more about that in just a second as well. But it's very important to understand you need all of them. If you want to have energy, if you want to drop body fat, if you want to have just clarity. I talk to a lot of professionals who they're in between meetings and conferences and sales calls. They don't just need physical energy, they need that mental bandwidth to be able to perform at a high level. They need that energy to be able to enjoy time with their family and the people they love and care about. If you're having a hard time with your energy and your weight, that's a nutrition problem. And so once we step into the headspace of nutrition versus diet, this is when you start to see results, not short term, but long term. And so that's the first thing. The second thing, I see a lot of professionals are, you hear about things like macros, macronutrients. You hear about things like calories. All these things are very important, but it's not to say that you need to know all of them right away. I found that professionals who have joined my program, they have joined other programs and trainers, and they just feel completely overwhelmed. And because the trainer may have tried to teach them macros right off the bat. I went to college for this. I went to college for nutrition and exercise science at Georgia State University, and I took two classes on nutrition, like a whole two courses, a whole semester. And so it takes time to learn macros. And so I would never start somebody from understanding macros right away. And so what we do, we use progressive nutrition. Progressive meaning we move in stages. Instead of jumping right to macros, let's just understand the right foods to eat. What foods do you prefer to eat? What foods does your body agree with? Like there are certain foods that I don't like to eat and that my body doesn't agree with, like broccoli. Great food, great vegetable, but my gut just doesn't agree with broccoli. Like I'll be bloated and gassy. I don't want that. So I'm not going to eat broccoli. Second thing, Once we have the food stage down pat, now we move into what I call energy management. This is where we hear about things like calorie intake, protein intake. This is not just what's going to help you drop weight and drop body fat, but it's going to help you balance out your energy. A lot of people associate calories as like, oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing about this. Calories is just a metric of energy. If you overconsume on energy, calories, it turns into excess fat. And so that's why you have to be in a calorie deficit. And so that way you can start to drop body fat. It doesn't have to be aggressive, but you do have to be in a deficit. And so that way you could drop body fat and not have all that excess belly fat, the love handles, the man boobs, and all those things. Okay. But the other side of it is the protein intake. If you don't have enough protein in your diet, I see a lot of professionals who end up having issues like insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, because they're not consuming enough protein. I have a coaching client of mine who works for the government, sitting down at a desk for hours at a time. Shouts out to Tiffany. And she reached out to me because she had been trying to work out, trying to diet, trying to lose the weight, having a hard time losing it and seeing consistent progress. I put structure in place for her with not just what to eat, like the foods, but her calories, her protein. 6 months later, she's down over 30 pounds. I also had her training and things like that as well, but the nutrition is what does the heavy lifting in terms of weight loss. Okay. And so understanding your energy intake, calories, protein. Next stage in progressive nutrition is your macros, and I call this nutrients. Okay. In the fitness industry, you may hear them say macros, I say nutrients, but it's the same thing, macronutrients. Okay. And this is where you start to gain clarity around your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. But we didn't just jump right into that right away. We progressed up to that point over a certain period of time. And then the last stage is precision. This is where you have so much clarity around not just the foods you eat, but the portions you eat, but even how these foods and the portions affect your energy, how they affect your hormones, how they affect your stress levels. Super critical. That way you can drop body fat, have energy mentally and physically, perform at a high level in your career, not have to deal with issues like a lot of guys dealing with erectile dysfunction these days. You know, that's testosterone. It's a hormone. Ladies, professional ladies dealing with issues like PCOS, hormonal issues. But a lot of these things can be fixed with proper nutrition. Okay, but we move it in stages. That way we can progression. Third reason, no preparation. I see a lot of professionals who they're just like very reactive. Busy days, wake up early in the morning. They may drink them a frappuccino, don't eat anything. They may have like a bagel or a croissant because they're moving fast. They got to get to work. They got to get to the office. They got to start taking calls. And so they skip meals. And by them skipping meals, they find themselves starving in the middle of the day, binge eating in the evening, weight going up, energy level dropping, stress levels going through the roof because they're not preparing ahead of time. If you prepare ahead of time, I'm telling you, start using an app like not My Fitness Pal, but Google Calendar, and just plug in. Here's what times of the day I'm going to eat. Here's what times of the week I'm going to train. That way, you can prepare ahead of time and already know here's what time I'm going to eat. Here's what I'm going to eat around these times. And then over time, you won't have to keep doing it because it's going to become a habit. It's going to become a routine. But until it becomes a routine, you have to prepare ahead of time. Another way that you can prepare, because a lot of times people think in terms of meal prep, they think they have to live like a bodybuilder, prepping 6, 7 meals at a time or 12 meals at a time. You can do it that way, but you don't have to do it that way. Another way that you can do it is what I do. If I know I'm going to have a busy day the next day, I'll cook my breakfast that day, but the day before, I'll prep my lunch and my dinner. And so that way, once that busy day comes the next day, I'm not having to scramble around and figure out what am I going to eat for lunch, what I'm going to eat for dinner. Like it's already set, you know? And then you have the resources, invest in a chef or invest in you could have like one of these meal prep companies to prep your meals and just deliver them to you. That's why we make the income. And so we can make our lives easier. Money is the tool. Okay. And so preparation is the third reason I see a lot of professionals have a hard time losing weight. The fourth thing is not having structure. I see a lot of professionals, they're eating healthy, but they have zero clue how much calories they're eating, zero idea how much protein they're eating, no idea how much fiber they're eating on a daily basis, or even how much water they drink on a daily basis. Like all these things are important because if you just know you're eating healthy, but you're not seeing the weight come off, that's why. Like you're going to have accidental results because you don't really know what your portions are. You're guessing. And when you guess, that creates inconsistency. Like this is why in your career, in your business, you got systems in place. Systems for marketing, systems for management, systems for sales, operations, the whole nine. There's systems around everything. You got to have systems around your nutrition. You got to have systems and structure around your training if you want to see your weight go down consistently. If you want to have energy physically and mentally consistently, if you want to be able to get off the medications for high blood pressure and insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, you got to have consistent routines, systems in place. Okay. That way you can get the results and keep them. Okay. Super important. Very important. Having structure and systems. The last thing is I see a lot of professionals think they have to have this all or nothing mindset. They're either all in on dieting or they're not doing it at all. And it's like this perfection mindset. Now I get it because I feel like, I want to be perfect with whatever I'm doing because we become passionate about it, right? I have an obsession for whatever I'm working towards. I want to be really good at it. But at the same time, there has to be some balance. And the balance doesn't mean 50-50. The balance is knowing when you're eating pleasure-based foods versus value-based foods. Pleasure-based foods is you're eating a lot of fast food, processed foods. You're eating a lot of junk food, uh, drinking too much alcohol, right? Value-based foods are whole foods, the type of foods that are going to give you energy, protein, fibrous fruits and vegetables, fruits that have seeds in them, healthy fats, right? These type of foods are going to give us value. We're going to have energy mentally and physically. It's going to help us lean out. It's going to get rid of bloating, get rid of brain fog. So now we know the difference, right? Value-based foods, and then we have pleasure-based foods. 80% value-based, 20% pleasure-based. That's the ratio. A lot of professionals who have a hard time losing weight, they have it's like almost 50-50. 50% of their meals is just all pleasure. Every evening, pleasure. In the morning, in the afternoon, morning time, they're trying to, be on point. But that's not going to work. You have to have 80% value base, knowing your calorie intake, knowing your protein intake, eating the right types of foods, eating whole foods. Then the other 20%, enjoy yourself. Like I'm gonna drink me an old fashioned, I'm gonna eat foods I enjoy eating, but it's just not gonna be all the time. And when you do this and you make this shift, this is how you get results and you can finally keep them. This is how you lose the weight. And when you're stepping on the scale, you're proud about what you see in your clothes and your suits. You're proud about what you see. Okay. And this is how you keep it long term by fixing the things I just shared with you in this video. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe. And if you're in a place in your life where you're ready to make that shift, get unstuck, finally lose the weight and keep it off, hit the link in the description and apply for coaching. That's where I'll build you out a personalized plan. That way you can drop the weight and keep it off long term. Talk soon.